What's up, everybody?
How's it going? Welcome back to another video.
You're copying me again with the blue.
It's
Last
a different
episode,
color
we
blue.
both wore green.
It's a different color. So guys, this is a holiday week here in the U.S. Thanksgiving week.
A hollow week.
Yeah, Hollow week. We're gonna be babysitting our niece that you saw in the rave video, taking a 7-year-old to the rave video. If you haven't seen it, you could jump over to our vlog and watch it.
She's on Thanksgiving fall break, whatever they call it here, to keep up with the times. And my sister said, "Sayonara, kid. Go hang out with your aunt and your uncle."
Yeah.
So we're playing parents for the next 4 days.
Yeah, it'll be cool though. She's fun.
She's a good time.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But yeah. So this is
anyway.
episode 248. All right. So today we're going to do a video called "Why Are British Place Names So Hard to Pronounce?" It's by Jay Foreman.
Jay Foreman Grill.
All right.
Wait, what's the name of the grill?
George Foreman.
George Foreman.
Yeah.
Not Jay. My bad.
All right. So let's see why you guys make it so difficult.
Why you make it so
British
difficult?
place names can be tricky to pronounce.
Take this place.
Grimsby.
Looks simple. But what if we told you it was pronounced Grimis?
There's no way.
We'd be lying, it's Grimsby.
But other places can be genuinely fiddly for foreigners.
And tourists who get it wrong risk being imprisoned or killed.
In today's programme, we're going to ask why British place names are so hard to pronounce.
This is hilarious. I feel like I'm watching a.
Dead behind his eyes. That man has no soul.
I feel like I'm watching like a comedy sketch sitcom.
It seems like
Yeah.
it.
Is there an and coming?
No, I'm done.
Welcome to Map Men.
We're the men.
And here's the map.
There are difficult to pronounce place names all over the world.
California has Zizix, Slovenia has Ptuj, Greenland has
That's our claim to fame is Sussex. That's our one claim.
Is that really how you say
Damn.
it? We passed by that.
That
It's
is the
called ZZ
iconic sign on the way to Vegas from California.
ZZYX Road.
Yeah. If anyone posts that on their like Instagram story, you just know they're going to Vegas.
Yeah.
even Welsh natives struggle with this one.
And tonight we can expect to see heavy showers spreading from the west into Wales.
But deliberately hard to pronounce names invented for promotional purposes like Llanfair, Pwllgwyn, Gwrgogera, Drobl, Llantysilio, Gogogoch aside,
Show off.
British place names cause more trouble than most because they often look straightforward but contain nonsensical phonetic traps that are impossible to predict.
Really?
Try this one.
From
Go on, say it out
From.
loud in your
From.
room or on your train.
Ha 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 ha! Wrong, it's not Frome.
Frome, it should be blitheringly obvious, is pronounced Froome.
That's what I said.
But if you did say Frome, don't worry, you're in good company. Frome is officially the most mispronounced place name in Britain, and that's according to a proper survey.
Excuse me, could you mispronounce Froome for me?
Portsmouth.
That'll do.
There's nothing more fun than laughing at tourists who don't know how to say something properly simply because they're from a different country and could never reasonably be expected to have predicted a local pronunciation that contradicts the basic rules of language.
So, we've created the perfect travel agent's itinerary for maximising tourist humiliation across the country.
Starting in Biaulio,
Bewley,
head over to Rampisham,
Ransom,
then down to Mousehole.
Mousehole,
Next, travel north up to Towcester,
Toaster,
then a quick jaunt to Gotham,
Goatham,
followed by a stop in Quernmore,
Quorma,
before finishing up in Alnwick.
Alnwick, which is near Newcastle.
Or
Why?
I've heard of Newcastle, like
Why
the
not
beer.
just spell it the way it's pronounced?
You mean you pronounce it the way it's spelled?
No. If you want to call it this name, make sure the spelling
Oh,
aligns
got
with
it. Yeah, I get you.
As the people from the city itself say, Newcastle.
When will they learn?
Newcastle.
As you can hear, no letter of the English alphabet is safe from being pronounced any of dozens of different ways.
Including not at all.
Thankfully, there are some general rules you can stick to, and because we're nice, we'll help the un-British amongst you through a couple of basics.
Cester is pronounced stir.
Leicester, Worcester, Gloucester.
W at the start of the final syllable is silent.
Norwich, Berwick, Southwark.
ER is pronounced R.
Berkshire, Clerkenwell, Hertfordshire.
But before you get too reassured, for every rule in the English language there are always exceptions, such as the cester in,
Cirencester.
the W in,
Sandwich.
and the sound in.
Oh, this is disgusting. Oh, sorry, Berkhamsted.
which is in Hertfordshire.
The only way to be absolutely sure of pronouncing British place names correctly is to live here long enough to learn every single one of them one at a time. Sorry.
So who were the complete anchors that invented these rules?
It's time for an English lesson.
To make an English language, you start with the base of Germanic Anglo-Saxon. Mix in a healthy dash of Old Norse, a huge dollop of Norman French, and just a barely detectable hint of Celtic. Trust me, it'll make all the difference. Stir it up for hundreds of years until the vowels really start to shift, and then English.
Excitingly, by looking at a map of Britain today, we can clearly see which invaders influenced our language where by plotting the origins of British place names. This marvellous, messy, multicoloured map shows which languages different British place names belong to and is a living history of our early
Wow, well, a lot of Anglo-Saxon.
settlers and subsequent invaders.
The oldest place names here are of Celtic origin. This is where you'll find all the place names with words like Tre, Loch, Bryn and Aber,
Such as Aberystwyth, meaning the mouth, Aber, of the River Istwyth.
which coincidentally is exactly where we find Aberystwyth today.
Celtic languages were once spoken all across the British Isles, but are now reduced to a small minority of mountain dwellers. And that's because low-lying Middle England Brits turned out to be more worse at resisting invading armies.
First up were the Romans, who brought in Britain's Latin influences.
Like the rumba.
No, like boring Latin.
Anywhere that ends in caster, cester, chester, or xeter was a Roman fort, from the Latin word castra, meaning Roman fort.
But the Romans didn't stay long, so although their naming system was long-lasting, the actual names they used weren't, which is perhaps unsurprising when we learn they used names like Castra Exploratorum and Belgic Oppidum.
Sounds like Harry Potter's.
It does.
Was sensibly renamed Braintree.
Next, in light pink, we have the biggest group, Germanic Anglo-Saxon.
Any place containing the words Ham, Hurst, Lee, Bury, Ford, Port, Mere, Stead, Tunstall, Wick, Witch or Mere are of good old Anglo-Saxon origin and massively dominate southern England.
Like Buckingham.
Or a low-lying area of land belonging to an Anglo-Saxon called Bucca.
Perhaps the most upheavaling thing to happen to Britain's place names was the Vikings, who swept in from Scandinavia in the 9th century, committing brutal
9th
crimes
century.
including rape, pillage and the renaming of small to medium-sized settlements.
You can tell a place was named by the Vikings if it ends in Thwaite, Thorpe, Kirk or B.
Such as our old friend Grimsby. Named after an important Viking called Grim, famed for his infectious positive energy, Grimsby literally means Grim's village.
We're all familiar with these common settlement suffixes, but what's so striking is how clearly this map of Viking place names reflects the extent of the Viking invasions. You can practically see the exact location of the Danelaw dividing Viking and Anglo-Saxon England without needing to draw it on with thick red pen.
Following all these invasions, Britain was littered with place names that originated in different languages and accents, but the final thing that would make its place names truly unpronounceable was time.
Over hundreds of years, locals who were too busy to pronounce all the syllables in Cester reduced it to stir to save time. But they couldn't read or write, so the spelling stayed the same.
And while the English language has continued to gradually evolve, our place names haven't, resulting in a language landscape littered with phonetic booby
That's
traps.
wild.
But what about Froome?
bunch of hybrid
Which linguistic
names.
group is responsible for Britain's so-called hardest place name?
Unusually for a place name in England, Froome is from a surviving Celtic word, frama.
Just change the
That seemed-
spelling.
But it's kind of cool keeping the old.
It is. I
Yeah.
get it. I get why
Yeah.
for historical purposes.
Yeah, it's cool.
Which means fair, fine or brisk, probably describing the flow of its lovely river.
It's not really surprising that the oldest language in these islands is the one that's drifted the furthest from pronounceability.
So don't forget to join us for the next episode of Map Men.
Is that the end of your sentence?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right. I mean, that was. They go really fast.
Listen, all I have to say is don't make fun of us if we don't pronounce things correctly.
I'm sure.
because-
I'm sure they wouldn't. Like, I'm sure even some people there still don't pronounce it the technically correct way.
Yeah, at least if I'm going to like Germany, there's no hope.
Those
in
are.
me pronouncing anything correctly. But when you go to the UK and something looks very easy to pronounce and it's nowhere near how to
Yeah.
pronounce it, it's humbling, you know?
That is pretty wild. Yeah. I know. Also, I think like Finland and other places are probably they have difficult places.
What you kind of
pronounce.
expect, you know?
Yeah. I once saw something that said English is what happens when Vikings learn Latin and use it to yell at Germans. That's funny. They are, yeah. The history of it is pretty interesting, but
It makes sense. It's
Yeah.
just a bunch of colonizers and hybrid names between what they would all call them.
yeah. All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed that video.
A bunch of people who didn't know how to spell correctly, naming things. and then other people who couldn't read what those other people couldn't spell. And yeah, it's just a little messy. It's a little messy pie over there.
Clean it up, guys. Come on. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I get why.
I do like the
historically
yeah,
they
yeah,
keep the
it's cool.
names. It's
But
time tracker. Anyway, thanks for watching. They're pretty funny.
They are.
That channel.
Jay Foreman. I'll put the original. I always put the original in the description. But yeah.
Oh.
All right. Make sure to jump over to our vlog channel too, guys, and subscribe to that as well, please. All right. We appreciate y'all for being here. Peace.
Bye.